Good morning, Stampers. This is Lori at the Thinkin' Spot, and today I have a Copic hair coloring video tutorial to show you. I don't want to waste any time because it takes a while to get through this, so we're going to start right away. I'm using a Greeting Farm digital image, and I chose this because it's got a large area of hair here to be colored. I'm starting out and basing my color in, or laying down my first layer of color with an E31 Brick Beige Copic sketch marker, and I'm using the brush tip. And you can see that I'm kind of using a brush stroke to base in, and that's because I want to add a lot of texture or movement to this hair because there aren't specific lines in this image for hair, so I want to add those in with my brush. So I'm starting out, I've based in the image, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to start adding brush strokes. And I'm going to start at this point because I can see just by observing here that there's going to be a part in this little fella's hair. So I want to make the part darker, because when you just look at someone's hair naturally, there's always a darker color toward the part. It's just the way it is. So I'm adding in some brush strokes, laying down heavy color at the beginning of the brush stroke and lifting my brush slightly as I go along to lighten the color toward the end of the stroke. And then I want the middle parts of the hair to stay lighter, so I'm doing the exact same technique, but I'm starting at the bottom of the curls and working my way back in. And the same for these. I want to keep the color toward the middle. But I see little areas in the hair here where I know that it's just going to naturally occur that those areas are going to be darker and or lighter. So we leave color off of the lighter areas and add color to the areas we know that are going to need shading. I have my base color, I have my first layer of brush strokes in, and I'm ready to go on to the second color, which is E34, and I'm just going to follow the same technique, but start laying in a layer of the darker color. And again, I'm doing this all using a brush stroke. And we'll go along the same areas that I went over the first time, going back in and adding the darker color. Again, I want to leave that area that I know is going to reflect more light, which is the top of the head. I'm going to leave that out. Okay, so we have our second layer of color. Now I'm going to move up to an E37. I'm going to follow the exact same techniques. I'm going to use a very light stroke as I go along here. Follow the same areas. Okay, now you can see I have started out coloring this image with my base color of E31, and I went back and started adding brush strokes in areas where I knew that the hair color was going to be darker, leaving the top of the head open because I know that this is a place where light is going to be reflected. Then I used the same technique, the same brush stroke, and I used an E34, and I finished up with an E37. So now I'm ready to begin going back and blending. So I'm just going to work my way backward. I'm going to go back and pick up my E34, and I'm going to go right over the areas where it's so dark, because you can tell that I've got a pretty harsh line there between the lightest and the darkest colors, and I want to soften that line out, make it look more natural. So I'm just going back over everything, and I'm pulling the color out, extending it out just a little farther, keeping that color pretty dark in the part because that's going to be the darkest area of this little guy's hair color. So we just go back and we blend and soften those lines, pulling them out a little farther, gives them more of a feathered look. But you can see how this immediately starts to add a lot of movement and a lot of wave to the hair. And with an image where you don't have lines there for you already, that's just, it just makes all the difference. And I'm going back again with my lightest color, with the base color that I started with, the E31. And again, I'm just pulling that color out, softening those harsher lines. And when I color hair, I may have mentioned it earlier, but most of the time it's recommended that you use 3 colors, and I always start with 3 colors, but I may go back and add up to 5 or 6 colors depending on the depth and what tones I want to bring into the hair color, because when we look at our own hair we seldom see just one color, and it's the same way when you're coloring. You want to make sure that you have a nice representation of all the colors that you might see. Now I have gotten all of the colors in there that I wanted, and I still think that I want a little bit more of a darker area here close to the part. So I'm going in with an E27 marker, and I'm going to just darken that up with a very, very light brush stroke right there in the part of this little guy's hair. So I want that to really stand out there. And I know that really needs to be darker. And I tried several colors, and the E27 was what I thought looked the best. But you just have to try colors on your own and choose what you like. Okay, I think I'm starting to get happy with the way this looks. And it's very easy to overwork an image and get too much color. So I think with just a little bit more blending with my medium color, softening some of those lines out just a little bit more, I think we're going to call this good. And I love using these colors for my brunette images because it's just such a warm, rich brown color. But once you play with the colors and play with the markers, you'll find what you like. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to do it the same all the time. You can change it up and experiment with colors. Find the one that's just right for you. Okay. That's all I have for you today. I wish you a beautiful day and lots of happy stamping.